The National Electrical Code does not mandate that satellite dishes or antennas be installed in close proximity to the main electrical breaker or the electric meter for proper grounding purposes. The installers claim that such a requirement exists within the NEC is incorrect. The NEC, or National Electrical Code, serves as a comprehensive set of standards governing electrical installations across the United States. It's important to understand that the NEC provides guidelines for safe electrical practices but does not specifically dictate the physical location of satellite dishes or antennas on a property with respect to the main breaker or meter. The primary concern of the NEC regarding antenna installations, specifically those involving coaxial cables, pertains to the grounding block. The NEC stipulates that the grounding block, which serves as a crucial safety component, must be positioned as close as practically possible to the point where the coaxial cable enters the building structure. This requirement aims to minimize the potential for voltage surges or lightning strikes to enter the building through the cable, thereby reducing the risk of electrical shock or fire. The function of the grounding block is to provide a direct path to ground for any stray electrical currents that may be present in the coaxial cable. This path helps to divert the current away from sensitive electronic equipment and, more importantly, protects individuals from potential harm. The grounding block is typically connected to the building's grounding electrode system, which consists of items such as ground rods, metallic water pipes, or other approved grounding conductors. This connection ensures that the grounding block is effectively bonded to the earth, providing a low impedance path for fault currents. The Homeowners Association's mandate to place satellite dishes towards the rear of the house does not inherently violate any provisions within the NEC. The NEC addresses the safe installation and grounding of electrical systems but does not regulate aesthetic or placement preferences imposed by homeowners associations or other governing bodies. It is conceivable that a homeowners association could stipulate specific placement requirements for satellite dishes based on aesthetic considerations or community guidelines. However, these requirements must not compromise the electrical safety standards outlined in the NEC. If a homeowners association's placement guidelines were to impede the proper grounding of the coaxial cable, then a conflict with the NEC might arise. In such a scenario, it would be necessary to find a compromise that satisfies both the Homeowners Association's aesthetic concerns and the NEC safety requirements. To ensure compliance with the NEC and to mitigate potential safety hazards, it is always recommended to engage a qualified and licensed electrician to perform satellite dish or antenna installations. A qualified electrician possesses the knowledge and expertise to properly ground the coaxial cable, select appropriate grounding hardware, and ensure that all work is performed in accordance with applicable codes and regulations. Furthermore, a qualified electrician can assess the specific site conditions and identify any potential challenges that may arise during the installation process. They can also provide guidance on selecting the optimal location for the satellite dish, taking into account both the homeowner's preferences and the NEC requirements. When selecting a grounding block, it is crucial to choose one that is specifically designed for use with coaxial cables. These grounding blocks typically feature a low impedance path to ground and are constructed of corrosion-resistant materials to ensure long-term reliability. It is also important to ensure that the grounding block is properly sized for the gauge of the coaxial cable being used. Using an undersized grounding block can compromise its effectiveness and potentially create a safety hazard. In addition to grounding the coaxial cable, it is also important to ground the metal mast or structure that supports the satellite dish or antenna. This grounding helps to protect the equipment from lightning strikes and other electrical surges. The grounding conductor for the mast should be sized according to the NEC requirements and should be connected to the building's grounding electrode system. When installing the grounding conductor, it is important to avoid sharp bends or kinks, as these can increase the impedance of the conductor and reduce its effectiveness. The grounding conductor should also be protected from physical damage to prevent it from being accidentally disconnected. To further enhance safety, it is recommended to install a surge protector on the coaxial cable before it enters the building. A surge protector can help to protect sensitive electronic equipment from damage caused by voltage surges. The surge protector should be listed by a recognized testing laboratory, such as Underwriters Laboratories, and should be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. In summary, the NEC does not mandate that satellite dishes or antennas be located near the main breaker or electric meter. The primary NEC requirement is that the grounding block for the coaxial cable be placed as close as possible to the point where the cable enters the building. Homeowners Association restrictions on satellite dish placement typically do not conflict with the NEC, provided that the grounding requirements are met. A qualified electrician should be engaged to perform satellite dish or antenna installations to ensure compliance with the NEC and to mitigate potential safety hazards. Firstly, grounding is a critical safety measure in electrical systems. Secondly, it provides a low resistance path for fault currents to return to the source. Thirdly, this path allows protective devices, such as circuit breakers, to quickly trip and de-energize the circuit, preventing electrical shock or fire hazards. 1. The NEC provides detailed requirements for grounding electrical systems, including the size and type of grounding conductors, the methods of connecting to the grounding electrode system, and the location of grounding electrodes. 2. The NEC also specifies the requirements for bonding, which is the process of connecting metallic parts of an electrical system together to create a low impedance path for fault currents. 3. Bonding helps to ensure that all metallic parts are at the same electrical potential, reducing the risk of electrical shock. Furthermore, it is important to regularly inspect and maintain the grounding system to ensure that it is functioning properly. This includes checking the grounding conductors for corrosion or damage, verifying the tightness of connections, and testing the grounding electrode system to ensure that it has a low impedance to ground. In locations where the soil is dry or rocky, it may be necessary to install additional ground rods or other grounding electrodes to achieve the required grounding resistance. The NEC provides specific requirements for the number and spacing of ground rods. Moreover, it is important to be aware of the potential for stray voltages in grounding systems. Stray voltages can occur when there are imbalances in the electrical system or when there are external sources of voltage present. Stray voltages can pose a safety hazard, particularly in agricultural environments where animals may come into contact with grounded equipment. In conclusion, understanding the NEC requirements for grounding and bonding is essential for ensuring the safety and reliability of electrical systems. By following these requirements and by regularly inspecting and maintaining the grounding system, it is possible to minimize the risk of electrical shock, fire, and equipment damage. The role of the grounding block in protecting electronic equipment connected to coaxial cables cannot be overstated. It acts as a primary defense against transient voltage surges, such as those caused by lightning strikes or power line disturbances. These surges can travel along the coaxial cable and damage sensitive electronic components in televisions, satellite receivers, and other connected devices. The grounding block diverts these surges to ground, preventing them from reaching the equipment and causing damage. The selection of a high-quality grounding block is crucial for effective surge protection. The grounding block should be constructed of durable materials that can withstand the harsh environmental conditions to which it will be exposed. It should also have a low clamping voltage, which is the voltage at which the grounding block begins to divert surge current to ground. A lower clamping voltage provides better protection for sensitive electronic equipment. The installation of the grounding block should be performed by a qualified electrician to ensure that it is properly connected to the building's grounding system. The electrician should also verify that the grounding system is adequate to handle the surge current that may be diverted by the grounding block. Regular inspection of the grounding block is recommended to ensure that it is in good working condition. The grounding block should be checked for corrosion, damage, and loose connections. If any problems are found, the grounding block should be replaced immediately. Furthermore, the NEC addresses the proper installation and maintenance of electrical equipment in various environments, including those that are subject to corrosive conditions. In such environments, the NEC requires the use of corrosion-resistant materials and construction techniques to prevent premature failure of electrical equipment. This includes the use of galvanized steel, stainless steel, or other approved materials for enclosures, raceways, and fittings. It also includes the application of protective coatings to prevent corrosion. The NEC also provides requirements for the spacing and support of electrical conductors to prevent them from coming into contact with corrosive substances. The NEC also addresses the grounding and bonding of electrical equipment in corrosive environments. The grounding and bonding conductors must be sized and installed in accordance with the NEC requirements to ensure that they provide a low impedance path for fault currents. The grounding and bonding connections must also be protected from corrosion. In addition, the NEC requires the use of ground fault circuit interrupters, GFCIs, in certain locations to protect personnel from electrical shock hazards. GFCIs are designed to detect small ground faults and to quickly de-energize the circuit, preventing electrical shock. GFCIs are typically required in bathrooms, kitchens, and other wet locations. They are also required on construction sites and in other areas where there is a high risk of electrical shock. It's crucial to differentiate between grounding and bonding. Grounding connects electrical systems to the earth, providing a path for fault currents. Bonding, on the other hand, connects metallic parts together to equalize their electrical potential, reducing shock hazards. Both grounding and bonding are essential for electrical safety. In addition, the NEC contains requirements for the use of arc fault circuit interrupters (SIs). SIs are designed to detect arc faults, which are a common cause of electrical fires. Arc faults occur when there is an unintended arc of electricity between two conductors. SIs can detect these arcs and quickly de-energize the circuit, preventing a fire from starting. SIs are typically required in bedrooms and other areas where people sleep. The NEC also addresses the use of surge protective devices, SPDs. SPD are designed to protect electrical equipment from voltage surges, such as those caused by lightning strikes. SPD work by diverting the surge current to ground, preventing it from reaching the equipment. SPD are typically installed at the service entrance of a building and at other locations where sensitive electronic equipment is located. The NEC also contains requirements for the installation of smoke detectors. Smoke detectors are designed to detect smoke and to sound an alarm, alerting occupants to a fire. Smoke detectors are typically required in every bedroom and on every level of a dwelling unit. They must be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and must be tested regularly to ensure that they are working properly. Additionally, the NEC addresses the use of carbon monoxide detectors. Carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless gas that can be deadly. Carbon monoxide detectors are designed to detect carbon monoxide and to sound an alarm alerting occupants to the presence of the gas. Carbon monoxide detectors are typically required in dwelling units that have fuel-burning appliances, such as furnaces or water heaters. They must be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and must be tested regularly to ensure that they are working properly. Furthermore, the NEC contains requirements for the installation of emergency lighting. Emergency lighting is designed to provide illumination in the event of a power outage. Emergency lighting is typically required in commercial buildings and other areas where people congregate. It must be installed in accordance with the NEC requirements and must be tested regularly to ensure that it is working properly.